Hi, everybody. Thank you for being here after lunch. My name is Timothée. I'm a graphic artist and developer, and I'm the co-maintainer on GCompris. And so today we will talk about GCompris usage in the state of Kerala and the free software history there. So I will leave the mic to Aishwarya to start the first part of the talk and come back after to give more news on GCompris.
Hello. So before going more into slides, first Kerala is a southwest part of a state in India, which is in the southwest part, with 33 million inhabitants, and the official language is Malayalam, because when I say these words during the talk, just for clarification, so Malayalam is our language. So first, quickly go through the history of free software, because it's important for GCompris too, why they started to use GCompris. So free software's history in Kerala started with LaTeX. So first, beginning of 80s, a mathematics professor in University of Kerala brought LaTeX in 14 floppy disks from United States. And he started to encourage his students to use LaTeX and do papers only using LaTeX. So there were a few active students using LaTeX and promoting LaTeX. And there was a small community growing around LaTeX. So one of them was a person called C.V. Radhakrishnan, who was inspired from the technology. He started a company which uses free software, which is called River Valley Technology, which was a company for typesetting scientific papers. And also, he's the one who sponsored India's first portal for free software, to host free software project. So he's still active, and the company still uses free software and promotes free software. Meanwhile, there was also a CEO of South Indian Fisheries Federation of Fishermen Societies, who is Satish Babu. He got to know about the technology of internet from UK, because he had a training for fisheries management in UK. He also came back into Kerala with excited about internet technology, and he started to explore more about internet, and also he spread the word among his friends. And in the same time, there was another friend from Bangalore, it's another city of India. A friend introduced him to GNU Linux too. First, it was they were a bit doubtful about GNU Linux, but they started to explore, and the small friends group started to enjoy GNU Linux. So all these people together, people around LaTeX, the River Valley company, and the small friends group all together made GNU Linux users group Trivandrum. Trivandrum is also a capital city of Kerala. And they started to attract more and more people to the user group. There was also other user groups in other parts of Kerala, starting from the inspiration from the same user group. But the important part also happened around this user group, because there was a few computer science students who were attracted to GNU Linux, and there was the first first conference that Richard Stallman participated in India. That happened in Bangalore. So all these computer science students wanted to participate in that conference. They got chance to participate, and they were listening to the talk by Richard Stallman, and they were highly attracted to the philosophy of free software, because before they were just exploring the technology. So they came back to Kerala, and with the user group all together, they started more discussion around free software philosophy, and they decided to establish Free Software Foundation of India. Also, they got approval from Richard Stallman, and they managed to organize a conference which was named Freedom First, which was also a conference to inaugurate Free Software Foundation of India. And they also got Richard Stallman to inaugurate the FS of India. And even more importantly, they campaigned our government to support the conference. So there was government support, and Richard Stallman was the government guest of Kerala. So as it is a government conference, it got big media attention, and also a lot of people were attracted to the conference because of media attention. And when Richard Stallman came also with his long hair and long beard, people were, who is this person? People were curious to know who is this, what he is doing in India. So altogether, that conference was very big success. It attracted much more people in Kerala, and it started to build more and more free software communities around inside the state. And so the best part was all this Free Software Foundation and all the free software activists managed to influence the decision makers of Kerala, and they started to implement free software in lots of state initiatives, for example, public work department, public fisheries department, etc. But for this talk, we concentrate more on education department. So Kerala is the first state in India who introduced IT education in schools. It's introduced in the 8th class, which means 13-year-old kid. But in the first year, it was just, in the textbooks, it was just Microsoft Windows and Microsoft Office. But free software activists were very much pissed off by this, because first they got support from the government, and suddenly the education department doing textbooks on Microsoft Windows. So there were protests all around Kerala. Also, there was big support from a school teachers association, which had a major teacher community from public schools in Kerala. So altogether, they managed to get approval from the public department that they decided to use only free software, and they made a IT school GNU Linux distribution based on Debian. That was still they use IT school GNU Linux in all the schools. So, but the important decision was in 2007. Before that, all this, when the decision is made, so public schools decided to teach only free software. So the first stage was to do training for teachers. That was done by SPACE, which is Society for Promotion of Alternative Computing and Employment, which is an NGO that promotes free software. So they give the first training, and they give technical support for IT at school. And then the government made an ICT policy. So the next slide. Sorry. So the ICT policy, it was the important statement in ICT policy was the government realizes that free software presents a unique opportunity in building a truly egalitarian knowledge society. The government will take all efforts to develop free software and free knowledge, and shall encourage and mandate the appropriate use of free software in all ICT initiatives. It was a big step for Kerala to move completely towards free software, and the decision was very important. So the first, like I told you, they introduced first in eighth year of education. So first it was some supplements of textbooks to start to use computer, to do mouse, and to start to experience, start to learn computers. And GCompris was the big part of supplements. Also, TuxPaint was also there. So GCompris started to get popular from that time, from the beginning of IT education in Kerala. So it gets very popular inside Kerala. So GCompris history in Kerala actually starts from there, but just to conclude my free software history part, there's also important decisions, but moving, I cannot say it, from 2007 it was 100% free software, because there was one stream, after 15 years old, we have to choose an option like science or maths or computer science. So there was one stream for commerce, so they were still using Tally. in Windows, but 3 or 4 years ago, they moved to GNU Kata. So now it's 100% free software in the education department. And also the free software love in Kerala, it's not only this history, it's also, I think the localization was very important for the free software love. Just after the establishment of Free Software Foundation of India, they started localization efforts because the English is not our native language and only people in university can understand or use more English. So they started localization efforts from the beginning, and also now these days there were beautiful fonts from Swadhantra Malayalam Computing, which is also a free software collective which is in the space of Indic languages. That's very important also for the free software love, I think. And also the thing is, the first years Microsoft didn't care, just 38 million Malayalam speaking community, because they didn't expect us to grow in technology that much. I think that's also a point, because first localization come with free phones and open phones. It's also a point to grow free software there. So now I move more towards, all this information you can get from the blog post by Dr. V. Shashikumar, which is, the website is there. And also I had discussion with Arun, who is Secretary of FSF India and Coordinator of Space. He's also the one who brought me to free software, or more close to free software. So now I'm moving towards GCompris. So like I told you, at first it was just 8th year of general education, free software education starts. But then after internet and computers started to get more popular, the government decided to start from the 1st year of school. So from 1st year to 4th year of general education, the major part of the textbook is GCompris. And also there are a few other applications like text paint, and another KDE application, color paint. I don't know, you don't, but anyway, they still teach that. So, but still, GCompris is the major part. So it's our 1st year textbook, it's the Malayalam version. I'm sure, I don't think there are people who know Malayalam. So there's English medium textbook and Malayalam medium textbook. So the 1st year they start with just most activities and things like that, and 2nd year they try to do more parallel to the other subjects, like for example, if they are teaching multiplication, so they use GCompris multiplication activity like that. But it's very hard to make it parallel, but teachers still try to go to parallel with the subjects. But then, and also other thing to say, there are other KDE applications that we use in public education are color paint and K-stars, K-geography, and in higher level classes, K-tech lab, and also there's Kden Live. I think there are more to the list, but I don't know the complete list, because in my year it was just 3 years of IT education. And after public education, another experiment happened with GCompris in Kerala is Insight. It's a center for kids with cognitive disability. So they had also technical support from Space. So of course they decided to use free software for kids with cognitive disability. They chose GCompris because from their feedback, they said it's about the pleasant design and simplicity of GCompris. For example, they said the smiling flower after each activity, it was very simple, and the one word in the background, it was much simpler for kids, other than a big uproar and complex images and lot of mess. That was the very important thing from them. But unfortunately, they don't sustain because of financial reason. At least this year, they had big problems with financial things. But still, they are big motivation for GCompris. And if someone wants to refer their handbook, I have that. And another important thing I missed that in GCompris, in public schools, they use old GTK version. But after I localized GCompris, I informed them, but it will take time after all this bureaucracy process to change all these textbooks for Malayalam medium, English medium, Tamil medium. There's a lot of medium inside the state. So it will take time, but for now, they are using GTK version. So now I move towards my work. So when I started to do GCompris localization, or I decided to do localization, I was not using Malayalam inputs in my computer because in Kerala, I got my own computer when I was third year of university, and I was struggling with English that time, so I wanted to see more English words and use English, so I didn't use Malayalam input for learning reasons. So the first thing was to choose a Malayalam keyboard. I am good at Bepo, which is a French equivalent of Dvorak. So I chose Malayalam InScript keyboard for that reason, because the vowels and consonants are in similar positions. And next thing, it was not the installation was okay, but then there was a problem to switch keyboard. I was in GNOME that time. And to switch keyboard, I didn't manage to put the keyboard shortcut, but I would say I didn't try that much because I saw Timothée was using Plasma, and he always switched the keyboard, and he always say, you see, Plasma do that, Plasma do this. So I moved to Plasma. And of course, I started with other KDE applications. So I used Localize to translate. And there comes the next issue. When I use Localize, when I type Malayalam, it's all red underline comes, and I thought this was first its localized issue, and then all the KDE applications show all the Malayalam words wrong with spell checker, and I saw a bug which is 176537, which is 10 years old, and which is filed by Santosh Thotingal, which is a language professional in Malayalam. So first I was a bit sad. I just switched to Plasma, and the first impression was, oh, so KDE don't care about Malayalam community. It was the first impression, but anyway, my priority was the work, so it continued to work, and that's also why I didn't go behind the bug that much at that time, but during Akademy, I'm sure I want to fix somehow, or at least find a way to fix how to fix that. So, and then next comes the font issues. In Malayalam, there are a lot of open fonts, but the GCompris ship with a default font called Andiga, which is designed for Latin scripts. So we have to suggest a font for GCompris, which font I have to use. So I started to learn more about fonts and more about my own language from that point. So Malayalam is a complex language which evolved from Brahmi, which is an ancient language. Sanskrit is another ancient language in India. Like that, Brahmi is another one, which is more in South India. So Malayalam evolved from Brahmi through Grantha alphabet and Vattaruthe writing system. It's all South Indian language systems. So, and also we have about or more than 1,200 graphemes in our language. So as it's very complex language, the typesetting was very hard. So the government decided in 70s, I think, to reform the orthography. So they simplified the orthography, which is called reformed orthography in Malayalam for typesetting reasons. So all the textbooks start to use reformed orthography. So, but still all the kids learn watching traditional orthography because all the graffitis, posters, more handwritings were all in traditional orthography. Anyway, so the textbooks are using reformed orthography, so I chose to use reformed orthography. So I first tried Raghu Malayalam Sans, which is an open font from Malayalam. So I tried, and then for all the cute applications in that font, we had a bug that a consonant has unwanted dot inside the curve. So I managed to fix that bug, and I did a patch, so it got worse. So it was, in the end, it was okay to suggest. So we suggest Regu Malayalam Sans and Noto Sans Malayalam, which is also default in Android. So that's our both fonts we suggest. And then next was, so I finished all the translation. It took 2 months for me. First, it was, I have very slow typing speed, was also the reason for slower work, but then in the end I could manage to attain a good speed. And also there was big issues for translating some words, especially some vegetables which are only in the global north, for example, leek. In French it's poireau, but this vegetable we don't know in Kerala, so you have to do more research. And also some words more culturally related to here. For example, blonde. Before starting to learn more Western things, I didn't even know people have different color of hair when they were styled. So these words were hard to translate. But after some research, some words anyway I couldn't include in GCompris. Only option was, okay, just to don't put in GCompris. Anyway, but the public schools use customized version, so it's not a big problem for them. They change some pictures, things like that. And then after translated all the text, then I did voice record and website translation, which was financially supported by ICFOS, which is an autonomous government institution in Kerala. Its full form is International Center for Free and Open Source Software, which is government organization just to promote and open hardware and free software. So they supported me. And for voice recording, I used Arduino and Audacity. But the recording, it was also my first time doing voice records. I thought it's a very easy task, so I just counted 5 days of work. But in the end, it was, I didn't think of outside noise, and I cannot control outside noise. And also to make my voice clear for long duration. So in the end, it took more than 2 weeks to finish all the work. Anyway, I finished it. And the first person who tested after me and Timothée was my mother, the GCompris localized version. And I'm happy that she started to learn to use computer, because she said she's more comfortable with my voice, and there's full of Malayalam. So she started to use mouse and learning more computer with GCompris now. So I'm happy with that user feedback. And also the schools, at least the schools near my village, I will do, when I go to India, I will do the Qt version installation when I will be there, so I will get more user feedback. So that's it, and I'm happy with my work. There are some modifications, but still I'm happy with and also it also opened a new area for me, that's Malayalam typography, where there are a lot of things to do, a lot of bugs to fix, so I'm happy and I'm busy with the fonts.
Yep. Thank you, Aish. So I will go fast for the end of the talk because we're a bit out of schedule. So for the future, we have plans to improve the customization of the application for the different cultures, because as she said, for some cultures, some words like vegetables or animals are not relevant at all. So in the old GTK version, it was relatively easy, because for some activities you could include customized assets in a user-defined folder, which was very easy. But for the new Qt version, because we compile all the assets in RCC files, then it's a bit more complicated, because it's a binary format and people cannot explore what's inside or modify it easily. They have to have technical background to know how to recompile the application or just compile RCC files separately, which is not so easy. So our plan is to have localized datasets. So it would be a way to provide different datasets downloaded from the same way we provide localized voices now, depending on the user settings. And we want to build that upon the multiple dataset system which we are currently working on. I will talk just after. So, of course, if some people are interested to help on that front, to either help to bring back to the option to use assets from a folder or to work on the localized dataset, please come to the workshop on Tuesday afternoon. You're very welcome. So a bit of history quickly. Last year we released 3 new versions, 0.90 in March with 8 new activities, 0.91 in May, which was bug fix, and 0.95 in December with, again, 7 more activities, which was increasing a lot the number of activities. And this year, we made a new macOS version in January, which was long time due because the last one was 0.52 from more than 3 years ago. And then we still don't have any idea if or when we will update the iOS version because we don't have any device to test it. So, and also for ethical reasons, I don't intend to buy any. So we'll see, but it's not our priority anyway. We prefer to have packages for Raspberry Pi, for example. And then in March, we released 0.96, which was a bug fix, but also mostly a translation release because we had 6 languages updated, which bring total language of fully translated to 19, and we have 15 partially translated, so it makes 30 languages. We still have room for improvement. The old GTK version had reached 50 translations, so we welcome all the communities which are not represented in the new version. Then in July, we released the 64-bit version of Android, which was mandatory for the to comply to the new requirement of the Android Play Store. And the same month, we finally have GCompris available on F-Droid official repositories, which took a very long time to get there because in the first place, the F-Droid people, they didn't have an easy way to build Qt application that complied with their requirement because they want to use only Debian packages to build, and the Debian packages of Qt don't provide the Android SDK of Qt. So in the end, after a long discussion, they agreed to just use the Qt installer, and which makes things much more easier. So for every other KDE application that want to go to F-Droid now, it should be much, much more easier. So don't hesitate to get in touch with them. Here it is. And then for the next release, the big things we've been working on, instead of new activities, we added the first subcategories, which was a request from a teacher, because for some of the categories, the most crowded one, it was getting hard to navigate and find the one they want. So we added subcategories so it's easier to find for each topic the relevant activities. And then the next very big thing is multiple datasets, which allows to separate the content of activities in different datasets. I made the design of the features, and Johnny, the other co-maintainer, coded the groundwork for it. And we had a GSOC student who did very good work integrating a lot of activities to that. So we have now more than 20 activities using the multiple datasets. And the other big thing for next release is the painting activity, for which we also had a GSOC student last year, which made good progress, but didn't finish completely. So this year I spent a lot of time working on trying to finish it, but sadly, first it works very good on GNU Linux, but sadly on Android there's a very specific bug which makes it unusable. So if anyone has some experience with the Canva QML element on Android, please come to me and let's see if we can fix that bug. And that's all for the news for next release. So, thank you for your attention. I don't know if we have time for any questions, or if there are any questions.
When is 1.0 coming out?
1.0, we should release it next year. I think because we need in the first place, we wanted to reach full parity with the old GTK version, which we almost reached. We have maybe 2 activities missing, which are not the most important ones. But now, because we have the big change with the multiple datasets, we want to have as much activities ported to that system before 1.0. So it should be for next year.
Any other questions? All right, it's a wrap.
Thank you.